Yesterday at the Maricopa County Courthouse, a man was sentenced to death for the murder of his pregnant girlfriend. According to court records, after restraining the woman with duct tape and handcuffs in a bedroom of the apartment they shared, he set the apartment on fire using lighter fluid. Both the woman and her unborn child were found dead. The woman was 9 months pregnant. The man was convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of arson of an occupied structure, and 1 count of kidnapping. In a statement, the Maricopa County attorney was quoted as saying, "The callous and inhumane killing of his girlfriend and their unborn child is the worst example of a man utterly failing those who counted on him for love and support. The jury's verdict accurately and properly imposes the death penalty as a just and proportionate punishment for these despicable crimes."
Good morning, Rod.
Good morning, Myra.
Anything interesting on the news today?
You remember that case from a few years ago, the guy who tied up his pregnant girlfriend and set their apartment on fire?
Vaguely.
I was watching some of the old news clips from that case. It's similar to one of the cases that we're going to be hearing this morning.
You mean somebody else killed his pregnant girlfriend? What is wrong with people?
If I had the answer to that question, I might be able to fix this messed up world.
Did he get the death penalty?
He did. The murder was committed in an especially heinous, cruel, or vicious manner. The act was premeditated, and at least one of the victims was under the age of 15 or an unborn child. So how was your weekend?
Oh, pretty good, I guess. Normal. I stayed home, did chores, ran some errands. What about yours?
Oh, it was great. I drove up to Woods Canyon Lake. It rained the entire time I was there. It was wonderful.
Lucky you. I didn't get any rain at my place. So, those the cases?
Yes, 9 today.
9. Okay, it's going to be an easy day then.
Oh, we'll see. The presenter in the last case has asked for an hour and a half.
Oh, wow. Well, let's hope it's not like the one that we had last week. How long were you in there?
3 hours, and the presenter in that case only requested an hour.
Well, people do not know what they're doing. They need to get better at guessing, maybe.
Frankie, we've talked about politics in the jury room.
How many cases do we have today?
9.
That's not too bad. Maybe we can get out early.
We'll see.
Someone say something about early?
You better hope we have more than 9 jurors or we're going to be stuck here until the judge shows up.
Why did I have to get picked for a county grand jury every Wednesday and Friday for 4 months?
Good morning. Oh, there's coffee in the break room if anybody wants some.
I'm already on my 3rd cup.
Well, you're here early this morning. What happened?
My girlfriend had to take me here before work, so.
Oh, did your car break down again, man?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Well, if you need a ride home, I'll be glad to give you one.
Good morning, Teresa.
Oh, good morning.
Hey, I owe you a meatball sandwich, Bill. Hey, did you guys notice that the tent city up across from parking garage is empty? Well, last week, it was full of tents, and this week it's just an empty lot.
Well, I think they moved it a couple miles down the street. You know, they clear those things out periodically.
I can't imagine living in a place like that, especially in this heat.
Did any of you guys see the bunny on the 2nd floor of the parking garage?
What was a bunny doing in the middle of downtown?
I don't know.
You're lucky all you saw was a bunny. The week before you all started, someone found a dead body in that parking garage.
A dead body?
Like a human?
Yeah.
We hear about homicides all the time, but you don't expect to see the evidence for one first thing in the morning.
Hey, what's with all the bunnies and dead bodies today? I saw a bunny get hit by a car on the freeway this morning on the way in. I was traumatized for the rest of the ride here.
Good morning, Rachel. How are you? Hot. I missed the shuttle, so I had to walk.
You didn't run into that crazy guy, did you? Yeah, he started yelling at me as I passed the bus stop and would not stop. And then, get this, he randomly started tossing loose change into the street. So, yeah, super fun.
Rachel, you should be careful walking by yourself.
You know, after hearing all of these cases, it kind of makes me afraid that someone's gonna, I don't know, pull a gun or a knife on me or something.
You know, I passed by a guy at the bus stop the other day, and he had a 3-inch knife sticking out of his backpack. What? Yeah.
I go to the grocery store now, and all I see is criminals.
Where do you shop?
I just hope we have all easy cases. No child abuse cases.
Yes, please. I vote we send all the child abuse cases across the hall to the other jury.
And some of these cases are very hard to get out of your mind.
Well, like the case about the little girl that we heard last week. But I kept remembering what you said. You said if she can endure what she did, then we can endure hearing about it.
Hey, you must be our new juror.
Yes, I'm Emily.
I'm Antonio. Antonio, if you know me. Tony, if you owe me. I'm just kidding, Claire.
Make sure you sign your name on the sign-in sheet.
Yeah, especially if you want to get reimbursed for gas and get paid for the day. And you do.
I don't really remember the procedure.
Oh, well, we'll help you out. Right, guys?
Just remember, we're not here to decide guilt or not guilty. We're just trying to decide if there's enough reasonable evidence for an indictment.
Yes. Got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at those. You're gonna have to send me those reports. I'll look at them at lunch. Yeah, I gotta see them first, okay? All right, thanks.
Busy day, Vanessa?
Oh, you have no idea. Jury duty could not have come at a worse time. I still have a company to run when I get home tonight.
We know.
We're aware. All right, how many do we have?
10.
Technically, we only need 9. Let's go ahead and get started. This is 708GJ851. This is the investigation of 3 individuals. They are as follows: Gavin Miller, Jaden Carter, and Miguel Padilla. This case involves 2 alleged matters. The first is first-degree murder. That is alleged to all 3 individuals. The second is kidnapping. That is alleged to Gavin Miller. It is alleged that these events occurred on the night of April 4th, 2021 in Maricopa County. The name of the alleged victims in this matter are Karina Owens, whom we will identify as victim A, and her unborn child, whom we shall identify as victim B. To assist you in determining if probable cause exists in this matter, the following statutes may apply. ARS 13-105 definitions. 13-301 definition of accomplice, 13-1101 and 13-1105 first-degree murder, and 13-1301 and 13-1304 kidnapping. The witness here to testify today is Detective Andrea Hodges with the Phoenix Police Department. Let the record reflect that all members of the grand jury are present, with the exception of Smith, Birkenheim, Murray, Taylor, and Lopez.
We're about to hear case 798GJ851 involving the individuals named. The usual admonitions apply.
All right, detective, come on in. You're next. You're going to sit in that seat right there after this lady swears you in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Detective, can you introduce yourself to the members of the grand jury, please?
My name is Andrea Hodges. I'm a detective with the Phoenix Police Department.
And can you please tell the grand jury how this case first came to the attention of the police?
Yes. Early in the morning, April 5th, 2021, at 3:05 a.m., Deputy Sheriff Alejandro Estrada was patrolling the parking lot of an abandoned office building at 2135 East Valero Drive in Phoenix. There he found an abandoned red Nissan Maxima parked behind the dumpster. The body of a young woman was laid across the back seat with a black garbage bag around her head. Closer examination revealed she'd been shot 3 times in the head. Autopsy revealed she was 5 months pregnant, and the young girl was also deceased.
And was this woman later identified as Karina Owens, whom we shall refer to as victim A?
Yes.
What can you tell us about the victim?
She was 29 years old, and she worked as a legal assistant at a local law firm, roughly 45 minutes from where her body was found.
What can you tell us about the victim's relationship to the suspect, Gavin Miller?
They worked together. They were colleagues at that local law firm. They were also in an on and off again sexual relationship for about the past 4 years. Miller, however, was involved with another woman with whom he had 3 other children.
Was Gavin Miller interviewed?
Yes, he was. He admitted to the sexual relationship and stated that he believed he was the father of her unborn child.
Now, how did Miller come to be suspected of involvement in the murder of the victim?
Interviews with the victim's friends and families. These interviews revealed that Miller was pressuring her to get an abortion. However, the victim was very excited to have the baby and instead wanted him to pay child support.
Was a search made of the victim's home?
Yes. In the victim's home, we found her journal. This recounted a story of how one evening, Miller again came to her home to pressure her to have an abortion. When she refused, he grew angry and violent. She was afraid for her life. She even confessed to a colleague that if she was found dead, she believed it would be because of Miller.
Now, how did the other two suspects, Jaden Carter and Miguel Padilla, come to be linked with this case?
We obtained a search warrant for Miller's home, where we found multiple electronic devices, including a burner cell phone. This burner cell phone linked both Carter and Padilla to the case.
Were both suspects interviewed?
Yes. Carter denied any involvement, but Padilla claimed Miller offered both of them $5,000 if they were to kill Karina Owens. We discovered multiple text messages between the burner cell phones discussing plans for the evening or the night of April 4th. Miller was to drive the victim to that parking lot where Carter and Padilla were to murder her and stage it look like a drug deal gone wrong. We tracked one of those prepaid phones to that location for the murder on that night of April 4th. And the last communication was sent at 12:17 a.m. on April 5th.
I have no further questions for this witness at this time. Do any members of the grand jury have any factual questions for this witness? Yes?
Yeah, Detective, to whom did the car where the victims were found, to whom did it belong?
The red Nissan Maxima belonged to the victim, victim A.
Are there any further factual questions for this witness?
Yes.
Yes.
So you're saying that the second victim was the unborn child?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Are there any further factual questions from the grand jury at this time? I take it by your silence that the answer is no. Thank you, Detective. The court admonishes you that Arizona law prohibits you from discussing your testimony with anyone other than the prosecution. Please step outside and remain in the vicinity in case of any further questions. At this time, do any members of the grand jury have any legal questions? I take it by your silence that the answer is no. The county attorney has prepared a draft indictment for your consideration. Please deliberate and determine which of your legal options you wish to pursue.
Okay, there's 2 counts. The first is first-degree murder, and that applies to Miller, Carter, and Padilla. The second is kidnapping, and that applies to Miller. All in favor of an indictment? Unanimous.
Jury room number 2. Jury room number 2.
Would the clerk please read the findings of the jury? The grand jury, with 10 members present and only members of the grand jury present, deliberated upon evidence and with 10 jurors voting by a vote of 10 to 0, returned a true bill.
That concludes this investigation.
Don't worry, Emily. Not all of our cases are like this. On the good days, we only hear about drug offenses, right, guys?
Aurora, play cool jazz.
Here's a station that you might like.
Ah, there we
Good morning, sir.
go. Good morning, Miss M. Aurora, stop music.
How was Wednesday with the county grand jury?
Oh, it was good. You know, I really like those days. You get to meet so many different types of people on these juries.
You know, how do you do it, sir, hearing about horrific crimes day after day? How do you keep from getting depressed?
Well, you know, it's like I always tell you. At the end of the day, leave all of the cases behind and go home and think about good things. I go home and I like to garden or I like to read. It's wonderful therapy. By the way, I've been reading that copy of A Christmas Carol you gave me last Christmas.
Right now in July?
I was really busy right after Christmas. Besides, sometimes when it's 115 degrees outside in the shade, you like to read about wintry London days with the fog rolling in.
How far along are you in the book?
Not very far. Scrooge has just been visited by his old partner,
Marley.
Marley, yes. Tell me, was there a point in you giving me this book, Miss Anne? Do you want me to raise your salary or give you more days off?
No, I just thought it was a good gift to give at Christmas time if you like to read.
Perhaps I'll be visited by a ghost who will point out all of my failings.
Do you have any skeletons in your past, sir?
Don't we all have skeletons in our past?
I don't.
I'm sure you don't.
You know, sir, I've never asked you this before, but do you have any family?
Are you trying to draw parallels between me and Scrooge?
No, I've just never heard you talk of any family.
I have an ex-wife. Does she count? She's remarried now, and I think she has 2 or 3 children. I haven't spoken to her in 17 years.
But you don't have any children.
No, I never had any children. Just as well, then I would have had to talk to my ex-wife all these years. All right, enough sentimentality. Let's get down to business. How many appointments do I have for today?
Well, none. I canceled all of your appointments so you could work on the Fuller case.
Excellent, then I'll get busy.
Oh, there was just one thing.
Yes?
A few minutes ago, someone came in wanting to see you.
Oh boy, here we go. It was the ghosts of Christmas past, wasn't it?
No, he didn't seem very ghost-like. He was a young man, maybe in his late teens, early 20s.
Well, let him know that I don't have any room for new clients, but assure him that I will reform my ways and raise your salary and begin giving to charity.
He specifically said he wanted to see you.
What? You've seen my calendar. You see how busy it is. I can just make an appointment for him in a month.
He said he didn't have a month. I don't know. There was just something about him and the way he talked. I couldn't turn him away. He had an innocent yet hunted look about him, and his voice trembled when he spoke to me like he was frightened of something. Sir, are you listening to me?
Of course, Miss M, you have my complete and undivided attention. Now, I'm sorry, what was it you were saying?
Sir, if it wasn't important enough to listen to the first time, it isn't important enough to repeat.
Miss M, I promise, I really am paying attention.
Well, like I was saying, he seemed frightened and emotionally distraught.
Probably on drugs.
He seemed lucid enough.
Did he give you a name?
He said he didn't have a name.
Everybody has a name. He may not like it or want to tell you what it is, but something got written down on his birth certificate or his social security card.
I asked him if he had any form of identification, and he said he didn't.
Is he an illegal alien or a refugee?
No, he said he's never been outside of the U.S. in his life.
If he was born here, he's automatically an American citizen, and he should have documentation of some kind.
He said he wasn't born here.
So he's never been outside of the U.S. in his life, but he wasn't born here. Nothing you're telling me is making any kind of sense.
He did say he has a number.
A cell phone number?
No, a prisoner number.
That's something. Did he say why he wanted to see me?
He said he's on death row.
Death row. Well, now I know he's crazy. I mean, prisoners on death row don't just walk into lawyers' offices. They're kept in maximum security prisons.
Well,
did he say why he's on death row?
He didn't seem to know that either.
How long has he been on death row?
Around 3 months.
3 months. And when? 3 months, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, prisoners on death row are usually kept there for years before their sentence is carried out.
And he said something else that was really strange. He said he's only one of 13,000 death row inmates scheduled to be executed in Arizona this year alone.
Well, that's definitely not right. I mean, there aren't even that many inmates on death row. Aurora, how many inmates are on death row in Arizona?
According to the Arizona Department of Corrections Rehabilitation and Reentry website, there are 114 inmates on death row.
See? What did I tell you?
Now, that number sounds a lot more reasonable, but he said that there is another death row that most people don't know about. It's supposed to be some sort of secret.
Miss M, have you been listening to conspiracy theories again? I mean, with the controversy over the death penalty, can you imagine the public outrage if they found out that 13,000 people were awaiting execution in Arizona alone? This story just keeps getting more and more bizarre.
Well, are you going to talk to him?
Normally, spending time around a death row inmate would be one of the last things I would choose to do with my time, but this kid's story has me curious.
Great, I'll show him in then.
Wait. He's here, right now.
Yeah, he's sitting out there in the waiting room.
Since when do they let death row inmates just go wherever they please?
Well, he is handcuffed, but he's not the dangerous type. At least that's what he said.
Well, now I know that he's not really on death row. I mean, the only type of people who get the death penalty are the dangerous type. I don't trust this guy. Was he checked for weapons?
Well, he had to have gone through security like everyone else.
Maybe he escaped from one of the other courtrooms. After you show him in, check with the other courtrooms and see if any of the defendants have escaped.
Yes, sir.
All right. Here we go.
Come on, it's okay. You can sit right here. Can I get you anything? Water?
Water, thank you.
Sure, I'll be right back.
Thank you for meeting with me, sir.
I would say it's my pleasure, but I don't know yet. Look, kid, my assistant has told me some really strange things about your case. I don't know what you expect me to do for you, but if I'm going to do anything, I need the facts and nothing but the facts.
Yes, sir.
Are you on drugs, or have you ever been on drugs?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Oh, no.
Okay. Right. Have you ever received any mental health treatment from a psychologist or a psychiatrist?
No.
Do you feel mentally confused at all?
Sometimes.
Okay. Who's the President of the United States?
I don't know, sir.
Do you know what day it is?
I know that it's July.
Well, everybody knows it's July because of the heat. What's your name?
I don't have a name.
Well, what do people call you?
Number 7543.
Come on, kid. Don't tell me you've been called a number your whole life. What does your mom call you?
I don't know who my mother is.
Well, who raised you? Your dad?
I don't know who my dad is either.
Well, someone had to raise you. I mean, grandparents, foster parents, adopted parents, the state.
All I can remember are the guards in the prison. I don't remember anything before that.
Tell me about your prison. What's your prison like?
Well, I'm in a single-person cell. It's comfortable, but they keep it pretty dark. I have plenty of food to eat, though. I've never been hungry.
How long have you been in prison?
Well, they tell me about 3 months.
Are you being kept at the state prison in Florence?
No. I've been told that I'm being held in some sort of mobile cell unit.
I've never heard of a mobile cell unit. Do they move you around a lot to different prisons or to different cells within the same prison?
I've never been moved out of the current cell I'm in.
Well, my guess is that you were injured and have a traumatic brain injury. That's probably why you have amnesia and can't remember anything from before 3 months ago. Now, my assistant tells me you think you're on death row.
Yes, sir. My guards told me that my execution is scheduled for 3 weeks from this Sunday.
And did they tell you why you're on death row?
No.
All right. So tell me a little bit more about your prison.
Well, apparently my cell has a built-in security system. They tell me that very few prisoners like me have been known to escape. Those who have been able to make it out alive
are usually killed immediately or die soon afterwards from their injuries.
Sounds like an effective security system. Okay. So you're here to see me because you need outside help to escape. I just want to warn you that organizing prison breaks, especially for death row inmates, is not a part of my typical job description.
I wouldn't want to break the law, sir. I was hoping that you could tell me why I'm going to be executed and what I have done wrong.
I'm not God, kid. I'm not all-knowing. Here, have a seat. Now, one other thing. There are a lot of lawyers out there. Why did you come to see me?
Well, it's a strange thing. A man came to visit me in my cell one day who I didn't recognize. But he said that he knew me and that it was true that I was on death row. Then he gave me a card with your name on it. He said you were a lawyer and that I should go see you and ask you for help. I told him I didn't think the guards would let me out of my cell. But he said that if I showed them the card, they would let me out to see you. I had so many questions, but all he said was, "Don't be afraid. Take courage." And then he left, and he was right. When I showed the card to the guards, they did let me out of my cell, but told me that I am only allowed to speak to you and your assistant. Do you know who that man was?
No idea. Do you still have the card?
Yes, here it is.
Rodney Nicholson, Deputy County Attorney. That's me, all right.
Have you ever seen that card before?
No, never. Well, kid, you've got an interesting story, but if I'm going to do anything for you, I need to get some more information about your case. What do you say we meet up again in a month?
But sir, I only have 3 weeks left to live.
That's right. Next week, then. I should be able to find out something about your case by next week. Miss M, can you make an appointment with this young man for next week?
Certainly, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You don't know how much this means to me.
You're welcome, kid.
Oh, I almost forgot. Can I have my card back? I'm not sure the guards will let me out again if I don't have it.
Sure, kid.
Thanks.
You're welcome. What was that? He is crazier than a box of rocks.
I made an appointment for the young man for Wednesday of next week. What did you think?
I feel like I just stepped into a crime novel and it's creeping me out. He told me that some man that he never knew came to his cell and gave him a card with my name on it.
What, like a business card?
Yeah, except not like any other card I've seen in my life. Not like the cards that I keep in my wallet. I've never seen that one before in my life.
Weird.
We need to find out more about this kid.
How are we supposed to do that? He hasn't given us a single piece of identifying information.
Except for his prisoner number, and we do have his physical description.
Well, but what if he's not a hired assassin? What if he's really needs our help?
I would be happy to find out that he's telling us the truth, but in the meantime, I would also prefer he not shank me in the back. I need to find out more about this kid. You know what? Get on the phone with security and see if anyone has seen him coming into or out of security. I'm going to report a suspicious person. Hello, security? This is Rod. I need to report a suspicious person.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Miss M.
I wanted to let you know what I was able to find out about that young man before he comes in today at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock? I thought I didn't have any appointment scheduled for today.
No, you did.
Aurora, when is my next appointment scheduled for?
Your next appointment is at 10 a.m. with the kid on death row.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, sir, I don't see why you need me as your assistant when you feel it necessary to confirm everything I say with the machine.
Who, Aurora?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, Aurora, I wasn't talking to you. I was referring to you.
Oh, I understand.
She's very polite to you.
Who?
Aurora. She and I are barely on speaking terms. Most of the time, she completely ignores me.
I don't believe it.
Just this morning, I merely asked her what the weather forecast for today was. Complete silence.
No. Here, let's try this. Aurora, what is the weather forecast for today?
The weather forecast for today is a low of 79 degrees Fahrenheit and a high of 98 degrees Fahrenheit with a 40% chance of rain.
A regular cold snap. Now you try.
Aurora, what's the weather forecast for today?
I'm sure that she just has some kind of voice recognition feature that only recognizes the sound of my voice. Here, let's try this. Aurora, how do you spell the name Leeann Morris? Okay, let's try this. Aurora, what is the phone number for Leeann Morris?
That name does not appear in your contacts.
Yes, it does. I put it in there myself.
You see, sir, I don't think she likes me very much. It's probably because I don't like her very much.
Ouch, that hurts.
Look, you've hurt her feelings.
How do you hurt the feelings of a machine?
Discriminatory, adjective, marked by or showing prejudice, bias.
I don't believe this.
You know, sir, frankly, I don't see why you need me when you have Aurora to cater to your every need. In fact, Aurora, since you have everything so perfectly under control, why don't you pick up lunch for the boss today?
I can recommend 10 different restaurants within a 3-mile radius. DoorDash will have your food delivered to you in 15 minutes. What would you like to order today?
I mean, that food from Zentai is very good.
I think I'll just retire now.
Miss M, you know that I would be completely lost without you. I mean, who would keep me amused or make me laugh the way that you do?
What game would you like to play this morning? I recommend Trivia Question of the Day.
Aurora, you're not helping.
What is the smallest country in the world?
Aurora, I don't want to play any games right now.
You have 2 more guesses.
Aurora, stop! Don't tell my... Aurora, turn off! I think everyone is going a little crazy around here today. Miss M, is it possible you're just a little on edge this morning?
I just didn't get much sleep last night. I kept thinking about the kid on death row. There's one thing he said that I just couldn't stop thinking about.
Well, now I'm intrigued.
Well, sir, I've been reading Sherlock Holmes recently.
Of course you have.
And Sherlock Holmes used deductive reasoning to solve his mysteries. So I decided to do the same. Instead of thinking about everything we don't know about this young man, I decided to start with what we do know.
That assumes, of course, that everything he was telling us when he was here was the truth.
Well, there's one thing that he said that I believe is the key to his whole story. He said that he has never left the United States in his life, but he wasn't born here.
Okay, so he was born in someplace like Argentina, and then he came here when he was a few months old.
Well, then it wouldn't be true that he's lived here his whole life. That would just be most of his life.
Whole, most, it's the same thing.
In his case, I don't think so.
All right, so explain it to me.
All right. Can you think of a person who has never physically left the United States but wasn't born here?
Well, I suppose if you're going to talk about it that way, an unborn child in its mother's womb hasn't been born yet.
Bingo! Sir, that's it. He's an unborn child.
Excuse me? That's not even possible.
Oh, but if we think about it logically, that's the conclusion we have to come to. Everything fits.
I'm sorry, Miss M, but what you are saying is crazy.
No, okay. Let's just go through everything he's told us for the fun of it and see if it fits.
You're starting to sound like Aurora.
1, he has never left the United States, but he wasn't born here. 2, he doesn't have a name. 3, he doesn't have any form of identification, no social security card, no birth certificate. 4, he doesn't know who his parents are. And 5, he doesn't have any memory from before 3 months ago. That's because 3 months ago, he wasn't even alive.
Okay, but what about this crazy idea that he's in prison and on death row? When is the last time you remember an unborn child being put on trial and given the death penalty?
Well, I've never heard of an unborn child being given a trial, but I hear of unborn children who are given the death sentence all the time.
You think this kid is scheduled to be aborted?
It fits. Do you remember what he said when he said he was only one of 13,000 death row inmates scheduled to be executed in Arizona this year alone? How many abortions do you think were performed in Arizona last year?
I have no idea.
Why don't you ask your friend, Aurora?
Aurora, how many abortions were performed in Arizona in 2020?
According to the 2020 Arizona Abortion Report, 13,186 abortions were performed.
When he said death row, we thought of the death row at the state prison. But remember, he said that there is another death row that most people don't know about. Maybe we don't call abortion the death penalty, but in reality, isn't that what it is?
No, Miss M. Abortion and the death penalty are not the same thing. I know we like to joke about these things, but really. I mean, in order for him to do any of this, it makes no sense. I mean, it still doesn't explain how an unborn fetus could walk into my office and talk to me. In order for him to do that, he would have to be a spirit or a ghost.
Well, how do you know he's not?
So you're saying that I'm being visited by the spirit or the ghost of an unborn child?
Well, is there a reason why the spirit of an unborn child might want to visit you?
I have no idea.
Maybe he's searching desperately for someone to help him and he's about to be killed.
You know, I am beginning to regret the day that you ever gave me that book. Well, Miss M, it has been an interesting exercise in speculation, but nothing you have told me has any basis in concrete fact.
How do you explain the fact that he never went through security and that no one has ever seen him before?
Security got back to you?
Yes, they said that no one of his description went through security last week, but the security cameras do catch him walking down the hall and getting into the elevator. But when the elevator stops and the doors open, there's no one there.
Strange.
Oh, that might be him. Good morning.
Good morning, young man. Miss M, you can stay and take notes.
Certainly, let me get my laptop.
Oh, have a seat. So, how was your night?
Good. I slept like a baby. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you're taking my case. For the first time in days, I feel like there's hope.
I'm still not sure I'm going to take your case. There's a few things I need to find out first.
Oh, I understand.
Now, first, the last time that you came to see me, did you come through security when you came into the building?
I don't know. I don't remember coming into this building.
Okay, well, when you came to my office, did you come from somewhere inside the building?
Yes, I rode the elevator to get to your office.
Okay, and what floor did you get on at?
The very bottom one.
The basement level. Why?
Oh, that's where my cell is.
The basement level? I mean, there's nothing down there but grand jury rooms and some empty office space. Strange.
I know that the last time I was here, you said that you needed more information about my case. So I asked my guards some questions. They said that my execution was scheduled for July 25th, 2021, and that it would be at a facility located at 5873 West Barnes Drive, Glendale, Arizona.
Excellent work, kid. Aurora!
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
Oh, that's Aurora.
Who is Aurora?
Aurora. Who is Aurora? Aurora. How do you explain Aurora?
Aurora allows you to control your own environment with a simple command. Aurora is always ready, always available, always happy to assist you, empower you, and give your life the efficiency, meaning, and enjoyment you never knew it was lacking. Would you like to purchase an Aurora now?
No, thank you. I already have one.
And I definitely don't want one.
And I don't understand.
Aurora is a virtual, personal assistant who makes people like me irrelevant.
Oh. All right. We don't talk about Aurora in this office. It's kind of a thing. All right. Aurora, What is located at 5873 West Barnes Drive, Glendale, Arizona?
That address is the location of the Family Planning Abortion Clinic.
Okay. Aurora, on what days of the week is the Family Planning Abortion Clinic open?
The clinic is open on Wednesdays and Sundays. Surgical abortions are performed on Sundays.
Aurora, what day of the week is July 25th, 2021?
July 25th, 2021 is a Sunday.
Is family planning abortion clinic some kind of prison?
No, not exactly. It's a health clinic.
Oh, like a hospital?
Not exactly.
What does abortion mean?
It's a process when a woman who has an unplanned pregnancy goes and they clean out her uterus.
Oh, and they also perform executions there.
They don't perform executions there per se.
Then why are they sending me there?
Look, kid, I don't know how to explain this to you, but based on what you've told us, we think that it's possible that you might be an unborn child. Yeah, look, I know it sounds really far-fetched to me too, but it's the best that we, or rather that Miss M, can come up with based on what you've told us.
So, you think that I literally haven't been born yet? Somewhere out there, I'm still inside my mother? Then I have a mother!
Well, kid, everybody has a mother.
Well, how do I find out who she is?
Well, that's the thing. We have so little information about who you are that we don't really have any way of finding out who she is. Maybe you could ask your guards.
Well, I don't think they'd tell me. But wait, I'm confused. If I'm an unborn baby, then why am I in prison? And why was I told that I was going to be executed? Won't I be born like other babies?
Well, that's what I'm trying to explain to you. It sounds like your mother is planning to have an abortion.
To have her uterus cleaned out? Yeah. What's a uterus?
Oh, good Lord, I'm a lawyer, not an anatomy and physiology teacher. Miss M!
The uterus is the part of a woman where a baby grows.
So, when she gets the abortion, what gets cleaned out?
Well, the cells to end the pregnancy.
Wait, to be pregnant means you're going to have a baby, right? And if I'm the baby, that means that in order to end my mother's pregnancy, you would have to end me, right? So if my mom is going to get an abortion procedure done, it means that I'm going to be the one that's cleaned out? That's what they mean by an execution date? I'm going to be killed?
But it's not really you. I mean, at this stage of development, you're just a clump of cells. It would be like if your mother were to have a tumor removed.
Well, when do I change from being a clump of cells to being a baby?
Well, people have differing ideas on that. To some people, it's when your heartbeat can be detected. To others, it's when you're viable.
I have no idea what that means.
It means that you can survive outside of your mother's womb. To some, you're not actually a baby until you've been born.
Listen, I don't know about all these procedures or about viability or when your heartbeat can be detected. All I know is that that clump of cells is me. And if that clump of cells is cleaned out, then I die. So you're telling me that I'm going to die?
I guess that's one way of looking at it. I'm sorry, kid.
I was hoping that it was all a big mistake. That I wasn't really going to be killed.
You know what? This probably is just one big mistake. You are probably someone completely different, and if we could just get a little bit more information about you, we could put this whole unborn child thing to rest.
How can I find out anything about myself when no one will tell me anything?
Okay.
I think he's had enough for today.
I think we've all had enough for today. Listen, I'm going to have my assistant make another appointment for you. In the meantime, go back to your cell, get some rest, talk to your guards. We're going to do everything we can on our end, okay?
You'll take my case then?
I've told you, if I can do anything, I will. But I can't make any promises. Miss M, when am I free next week?
You're not here next week, remember? You're out of town.
Oh, that's right. What about the week after?
I can get him in on Monday, July 19th, 12 to 1 during your lunch break from jury duty.
How does that sound?
That's my last week.
I'm sorry, kid. I wish I could do sooner.
That's all right. If that's all you could do.
All right. Now, in the meantime, go back to your cell, get some rest. We're going to do everything we can for you, okay? All right.
Isn't there anything we can do for him?
Yes. Try to prove that he's not really an unborn child. You know as well as I do, if that's who he is, he wouldn't even have a case.
I don't know what to do. I have no way to contact him.
Strange that he missed his appointment. He seemed so excited to come back. Oh, could that be?
Oh, it's you.
Well, good morning, kid, or should I say, good afternoon. You missed your appointment.
I'm sorry. I wanted to come, but the guards wouldn't let me out of my cell.
But they did today. Do they only let you out of your cell on Wednesdays and Fridays? No, it's okay. I'm with the grand jury today, but I'm on my lunch break, so I've got plenty of time to see. Here, have a seat. Miss M, can you get me a coffee, strong and black?
Certainly, sir.
So how was your night, kid? How you doing?
Not very good. I had trouble sleeping last night.
I get you, kid. I've been having a little trouble sleeping myself. Okay, hold on. I can't handle this no-name thing. I've got to call you something besides kid. Do you have a favorite name?
No.
Let's see. I was never very good at naming things. If Miss M were here, she'd be able to come up with something. She's great at naming things. The woman names everything. Her car, her cat, her plants. Have you ever known anyone who named their plants? Yeah, I know, me neither, but she does. Let's see. How about unborn child in French? Infanta natura. Yeah, I can't even pronounce that. Let's see. Oh, hey, what about Old English? Miss M will love that. Let's see. Look, Proto-Germanic. Wiktionary authority for you there, kid. Look, Kelpaz. It's Proto-Germanic and it means unborn child or infant in the womb. It's a noun. What do you think? I've never heard of anyone named Kelpaz before.
It will be my name?
Sure, if you like it.
I'd like to have a name, and Kelpaz sounds kind of nice.
Well, there we go. I hereby christen you Kelpaz. Except I can't actually christen you because you haven't been born yet. Miss M, come in and set the coffee down. This is a momentous occasion.
Okay.
I have decided that this young man should have a name. I would like to introduce you to Kelpaz.
Did you make that up?
No, I did not make that up. Look, it's Proto-Germanic. It means unborn child or infant in the womb.
Actually, that's the Old English letter for thorn. It's not a P. So it would be pronounced Kelpaz, not Kelpaz.
Whatever. I'm not a philologist like you. Besides, I think Kelpaz sounds more catchy.
Well, I think Kelpaz sounds more romantic, like a hero in an Old Norse legend.
But he's not a hero in an Old Norse legend, is he? Besides, the kid should decide it's going to be his name. What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could call me Kelpaz, and you could call me Kelpaz.
No, 2 names is too confusing. We'll just call you Kelpaz. But don't tell anybody that it's Proto-Germanic.
What, so I don't display my ignorance?
Exactly. Kelpaz, I'm so pleased to meet you.
I just feel so much better about this.
Me too.
Everyone should have a name.
Oh, we should take a picture.
Here you go. Here, use my phone.
All right. Okay.
Here, come on.
All right.
In here. In
Okay,
here.
selfie.
What's a selfie?
No, look right there.
There you go. You take a picture of yourself. All right, I got it.
All right, now I will. All right, enough sentimentality, let's get down to business. I'll grab your laptop, you can say it.
Okay.
So, were you able to find out anything else from your guards?
Well, one of the guards did write down a website on the back of my card. The one that has your name on it.
Ah, excellent. This is great progress, kid.
Great.
All right, let's see.
Oh, you have to have a password. It's there on the card underneath the website.
Yeah, it's right there.
Too close! Too close. I don't like people hovering over me.
It's true. He doesn't like people hovering over him. It's one of his many, many little idiosyncrasies.
You don't have to try to explain me to him. We all have our little quirks.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see. Now, what did you say your number was again?
Oh, 7543. Oh, and you have to add the year to the beginning of the number. Each year they start over with the number 1.
Got it. So it would be 2021-7543.
What does it say?
Well, not as much as I would have liked, but it does confirm what you've been saying. Number 7543, ultrasound taken on June 23rd, 2021. Gestational age estimated at 11 weeks. Abortion scheduled for Sunday, July 25th, 2021. Address, 5873 West Barnes Drive, Glendale, Arizona. Type of procedure, dilation and evacuation.
What does that mean, dilation and evacuation?
That's a type of abortion procedure.
Well, what do they do in that type of procedure?
I can't quite remember. We'll look it up later.
All these numbers. Does each one represent an unborn child who is aborted?
Or who's going to be aborted.
Number 2021-7532. Abortion performed on July 11th, 2021. Deceased. Number 2021-7533. Abortion performed on July 11th, 2021. Deceased. So these are just the babies aborted this year. Can you look up another year? What about 2020?
Okay. 2020. Here are the statistics for the entire year. 13,186 abortions in Arizona in 2020.
Oh, and that's the number of live births, 76,781?
Yes, I'm right here at the very bottom. This is the ratio of abortions compared to live births. 172 abortions per 1,000 live births.
That's over 17%. Over 17% of our children are killed every year? I didn't know that.
Does it say anything about my mother?
No, I'm sorry, Kelpaz. I'm sure they don't release specific names for privacy reasons. You know what? There has to be someone we can contact on this website who can give us more information. Miss M, why don't you get right on that?
Yes, sir.
Sir, do you honestly think that you can help me?
Kelpaz, I've told you, if there is anything I can do for you, I will.
You're a lawyer, right?
Yes.
So that means that you defend people in court, right?
Yes, sometimes.
So could you defend me?
Well, I could, but you're not on trial.
But I've been given the death penalty, so I must have done something wrong.
Okay, I think we need to get one thing straight right now. Abortion and the death penalty are not the same thing.
But I thought that people who are given the death penalty are killed. And I'm going to be killed, so why aren't they the same thing?
Because they are given for very different reasons. The death penalty is what happens in our state to someone who is convicted of capital murder.
What is capital murder?
Aurora, what is capital murder in Arizona?
According to Wikipedia, the following aggravating circumstances constitute capital murder in the state of Arizona: murder of a victim under 15 years of age, or a victim 70 years of age or older; procurement of murder by payment or promise of payment; murder committed in an especially heinous, cruel, or depraved manner. Would you like to hear more?
No, thank you. As far as I can tell, you're not guilty of any of those things.
Then why do they want to kill me?
Someone who wants to get an abortion can have any one of 100 different reasons. I mean, maybe carrying the child will cause a hardship in some way.
Well, what sort of hardship?
Well, let's say you have someone who got raped.
What is raped?
Rape is when someone forces another person to have sex against their will.
Oh, what is sex?
It's the process by which babies are made, kid. Now, sometimes the person who gets raped becomes pregnant. Now, she's already suffered so much. You wouldn't want to make her suffer even more by forcing her to carry the child of the man who abused her, would you?
No. So, if I'm going to be killed, that will take away her pain?
I don't think it will take away all of her pain, but it will help her start to forget about what happened to her.
But it's not like abortion is the only option. There's also adoption.
Well, what's adoption?
If a woman feels like she can't take care of her baby for some reason, she can give it to someone who can. There's so many people who want to be parents and just aren't able to.
Well, could they adopt me?
Not without your mother's consent.
Yeah.
And we don't even know who my mother is.
And remember, even if she were to surrender her parental rights, she would still have to carry you for 9 months, and this after being raped.
Forgive me, sir. I never want to minimize the pain of someone who has been raped, but 9 months isn't forever. And it's not the baby's fault his father is a rapist. I have a friend who was raped, and she gave birth to the most beautiful little girl. Are you saying that that child deserved to die?
No, I'm not saying that that child deserved to die, but if carrying that child is going to cause emotional or physical suffering, then she should be able to make the choice that's right for her.
But she's not making a choice for just one person. She's making a choice for 2 people.
And maybe abortion is the most compassionate choice for the child as well. I mean, imagine the pain of going through your entire life knowing you are the child of a rapist. Or what about if that child is born with horrible deformities, like half a brain, or no arms, or no legs? Would you commit that child to a lifetime of suffering?
Well, who are we to determine whose life is worth living?
Miss M, don't you have work to do?
Yes, sir.
Then why don't you go ahead and do it?
Certainly, sir. I'll just go back to my Google Calendar and continue making appointments for you.
She gets a little excited about things. Now, what I was about to say before we were interrupted is that even if your mother were willing to give you up for adoption, sometimes adoptive parents are abusive, or you might fall into the abuses of the foster care system, which is a total mess. I mean, there are some women who would rather abort their child than risk them falling into the abuses of the foster care system.
So, I'm going to be killed to keep me from being abused?
You have such a way of putting things, kid. Remember, I don't know why your mother wants to have an abortion. She could have any one of dozens of different reasons. Maybe she already has a lot of kids and she can't possibly afford one more. Maybe she's in high school, which is way too young to have a child. Maybe she just started her career and she doesn't feel ready to have a child yet. Women have the right to pursue their own dreams and fulfill their own potential. Forcing a woman to carry a child when she does not want one is gender discrimination and perpetuates inequality between men and women. The point is, kid, it's her choice to make.
I think I understand.
Okay.
It's not about me. It's about a choice my mother is making. If she wants me, I live. If she doesn't want me, I die.
Don't take it so personally, Kelpaz. I don't think that she's going into it thinking it's a good thing. I mean, people who get an abortion don't rush into it as if it's good. It's just the lesser of two evils.
If killing me is the lesser of two evils, then what is the greater of the two evils?
I guess that's a question you'd have to ask your mother.
I may never get the chance.
Kelpaz, wait. Are you going to make another appointment with my assistant?
What's the point? I only have a few days left to live, and you can't help me.
Maybe I want to see you again. Look, your procedure is scheduled for this Sunday. I'll have my assistant make another appointment for you on Friday. I'm with the grand jury on that day, but I have a lunch break from 12 to 1. Will you come back?
I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
What a day. Miss M, can you come in here for a moment, please?
One moment while I finish making an appointment for Kelpaz.
Great. Now she's mad at me, too.
How can I assist you, sir?
Did you make another appointment for Kelpaz on Friday?
Yes, from 12 to 1 during your lunch break from jury duty.
Look, Miss M, it is not my fault that he is scheduled to be aborted.
Of course not. It's just this rotten world. Poor kid. He's not even born yet, and already people are out to kill him.
I don't know what you expect me to do. It is the law. A woman has a legal right to abort her unborn child.
Maybe the law should be changed.
Well, maybe they will, but in the meantime, you and I both know that even if the laws are changed, it will be too late for Kelpaz. Miss M, I know that you think I don't care, but I do. In fact, I like the kid too. In fact, I was thinking that maybe before his appointment on Friday, we could call over to the prison and ask one of the chaplains to come over.
Do you believe in God?
No, not really.
Then I don't really know why you think a chaplain would help anything.
These guys are professionally trained. They know what to say. It doesn't matter what they say as long as it gives Kelpaz some comfort in his last hours.
Some comfort.
Will you please get me that number?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sir, I do believe in God. I'm sorry, Kelpaz. Mr. Nicholson isn't back from the grand jury yet. I'll text him and see if he's on his way. How are you doing today, Kelpaz?
I'm afraid.
Can you tell me what you're afraid of?
I'm afraid of the pain. I'm afraid of dying. Miss M, what is it that they're going to do to me? What does dilation and evacuation mean?
I don't know, Kelpaz, but I'll be sure to look it up. That might be Mr. Nicholson or the chaplain. Just wait here and I'll be back in a minute, okay?
From your calendar, appointment with Kelpaz in 5 minutes.
What is today?
The date is Friday, July 23rd, 2021.
Aurora, what is a dilation and evacuation abortion?
According to Wikipedia, dilation and evacuation is the dilation of the cervix and surgical evacuation of the uterus, potentially including the fetus, placenta, and other tissue after the first trimester.
Aurora, what is the surgical evacuation of the uterus?
During the surgical evacuation of the uterus, a suction tube is used to remove the amniotic fluid. The fetus is too big to fit through the suction tube, so additional tools must be used. A sulfur clamp, which looks like metal tongs with teeth on the end, are used for grasping and removing the fetus in parts, usually the arms and legs first. The head, at this stage of development, is too large to fit through the cervix. Therefore, the sulfur clamp must be used to crush the skull, while a white material is seen coming out of the cervix. This white material is the fetus's brain. At this point, the pieces of the skull can be removed. Then, a curette, a scraping tool, is used to clear the uterus of any remaining tissue. The final stage is to reassemble the parts of the fetus on a tray to ensure that there is no parts of the fetus left inside, which could cause infection or perforation of the uterus and endanger the health of the woman.
Hello, Kelpaz. Kelpaz, I've been sent here by your father.
You know my father?
I do. And he sent me to tell you that he loves you.
Is he going to save me?
He is going to save you. Just not in the way that you think.
Do you mean that I'm still going to die?
You are going to die.
Will it hurt?
It will hurt, like nothing you have ever felt before. But it won't last forever. And when it is finished, your father will be there, waiting for you.
How can he be there waiting for me if I'm going to die?
Because he is your heavenly Father. He is God, the one who made you. Most babies, when they go through the process of birth, are born into the arms of a doctor or of their earthly father. But Kelpaz, you will be born into the arms of your heavenly Father. He is waiting for you. And when he sees you, he will rejoice over you with singing and quiet you with his love. Do you believe this, Kelpaz?
I do.
You will not see him, but he will be there with you the whole time, every step of the way. And when you are in pain, he will be in pain. But when it is finished, he will take you and wipe every tear from your eyes. May I pray for you, Kelpaz? Heavenly Father, you promised that though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Father of love and compassion, the God who sees, watch over this little lamb of yours as he passes through the valley of the shadow of death. Thank you that you do not forsake even one of these little ones. Take your child into your loving arms and forgive us that we do not see him the way that you see him, your precious and dearly loved child. Amen. Take courage, Kelpaz.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Just call on me when you need me again.
I will.
Where's Kelpaz? Did I miss him?
He's gone.
Gone? Is he coming back?
I don't know.
No, I only have time to work on it now. Or something break. No, that's not gonna work.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey, how did your lunch break go?
It was good. I went to the cafe. I like to sit by a window and read.
I walked over to the Catholic Church for Mass. I tell you, I needed it after hearing these cases.
No.
So on the first day of the job, my boss says to me, "Hey, that Philly accent ain't gonna work around here." "Okay," I says. So just to prove him wrong, I say, "Hey, boss, why don't you give me the white pages to work off of?" He says, "Now I know you ain't gonna last, because the white pages are the worst." "I'll take them," I says. So I sat down, I call everybody in the white pages with an Italian name. You know, last name ends in a vowel. They would answer the phone, I'd say, "Hey, it's Antonio Capistrano." They would buy whatever I had to sell. So at the end of the first week, I was blowing everybody at work out of the water. My boss says to me, "Hey, what you doing? I know you cheating." I says, "I'm not cheating. I'm just doing what you told me to do, boss."
I'd have liked to seen his face.
It was hilarious. "Hey, how we doing, peeps? Hey, I brought some donuts. They're in the break room."
Oh, none for me, thanks.
"What? You gotta have something substantial. Don't tell me you're one of them quinoa gals."
Oh, Emily, I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask you earlier. But I didn't see you on Wednesday, and you're looking kind of tired. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I just wasn't feeling 100%.
Thank
Okay,
you
I'm
to
sorry.
whoever brought the donuts.
That would be me.
You're the man, Tony. Hey, how many cases we got today?
Only one.
Yes.
But according to Rod, it could be a long one.
Rod, did you ever think that we were going to finish our deliberations this morning?
10 minutes isn't bad. Usually grand jury deliberations are pretty short.
Well, you know what they say. Grand juries give out indictments like, bakeries give out day-old donuts.
So what's the longest grand jury deliberation you've ever seen?
45 minutes. That one got a little heated. One of the jurors assaulted the foreperson.
I'd like to see them try that with me.
Hey, we'll try to keep our tempers and not take a shot at you, Frankie.
Hey, you better watch it with Tony. His family was part of the mafia.
Oh, was your mother from Sicily?
Oh, my grandmother.
Wait, someone in your family has to be from Sicily for you to be part of the mafia?
Haven't you ever seen The Godfather?
No.
You might not like it.
Got any good stories, Tony? Oh, you betcha. It's like what I told them when they were selecting the jury. I said, "How could I be a juror? I'm way too close to being a defendant."
Most jury cases are pretty united. I've only ever seen one case where one juror assaulted another.
That would never happen with us, would it, guys?
That would never happen. You are a very united jury. In fact, in every one of your cases, you have voted unanimously.
You're right.
All right, well, it's past 1 o'clock. It's almost time for us to get started.
Oh, I know he's loud. He's always loud. I gotta go.
All right, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get started. This is 798GJ923. This is the investigation of two individuals. They are as follows: Alfred Parker and Rhonda Murphy. This investigation involves two alleged matters. One is manslaughter. That is alleged to Alfred Parker. Two is negligent homicide. That is alleged to Miss Rhonda Murphy. It is alleged that these events occurred on May 17th, 2021 at 8250 East Clarence Way, Scottsdale, Arizona, in Maricopa County. To assist you in determining if probable cause exists in these matters, the following statutes may be appropriate for your consideration. ARS 13-105, definitions. ARS 13-1102 for negligent homicide, and ARS 13-1103 for manslaughter. The name of the alleged victim in this matter is Nicole Wilson. The first witness who is here to testify is Officer Oliver Maxwell with the Scottsdale Police Department.
We are about to hear case 798GJ923 involving the individuals named. The usual admonitions apply.
All right, officer, come on in. You're going to sit in that seat right there after this lady swears you in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Officer, have a seat. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the grand jury?
My name is Officer Oliver Maxwell, badge number 1768 with the Scottsdale Police Department.
Please tell the jury how this case first came to the attention of the police.
Well, May 17th, 2021, Fire Captain Robert McBride responded to a 911 call at the Solution for Women's Clinic at 8250 East Clarence Way. A medical assistant called and said they had a patient that had lost quite a lot of blood and was unconscious.
And what did first responders find when they arrived on the scene?
When Captain McBride arrived at the clinic, he and his team were taken to a recovery room where they found the patient laying in a bed that was heavily stained with blood. The victim appeared to already be dead. She had on an oxygen mask, but was not intubated and was not hooked up to an IV.
And was the injured woman later identified as Nicole Wilson, who we will refer to as the victim?
Yes.
Now, what can you tell us about the victim?
Well, she was a 33-year-old woman who had recently separated from her husband, with whom she had 2 children. She had gone to the Solution for Women's Clinic on May 17th, 2021, to have an abortion.
And was May 17th the victim's first visit to the clinic?
No, in fact, her first visit was 8 days prior on May 9th, when she was given an ultrasound by a medical assistant named Alicia Collins.
Were you able to interview Ms. Collins?
I was. She stated that the initial ultrasound showed that the pregnancy was too far along, 17 weeks. When she showed the results to Dr. Parker, he instructed her to take additional scans from different angles until she was finally able to get a scan that showed a fetus of 15 weeks. It took her a total of 7 different ultrasounds to finally get the results he was looking for.
And were the results of these 7 ultrasounds later submitted to the Maricopa County Medical Examiner who was assigned to this case?
No, only the ultrasound showing a fetus of 15 weeks was submitted. The suspect and the clinic workers claimed that the other ultrasound records were lost or destroyed.
I see. And what can you tell us about the events of May 17th?
Well, on May 17th, the victim went to the clinic to have an abortion procedure, which typically takes about 45 minutes. The abortion was completed at 12:40 p.m., and the victim was taken to the recovery room.
Now, who was present with the victim in the recovery room at this time?
Well, there are 3 medical assistants present, named Nina Ramirez, Claudia Brown, and Alicia Collins.
Now, are medical assistants qualified to supervise a recovery room?
No, a registered nurse is required to be on duty.
And why wasn't there a registered nurse on duty that day?
Well, the registered nurse, Karen Walker, had left early that day at 12 noon.
Did she give prior notice that she would not be there?
In fact, she did. She notified the clinic supervisor, Ms. Murphy, the week before that she would be leaving early that day.
But the victim's abortion was scheduled for that afternoon anyway.
Yes.
And did Dr. Parker check on the victim while she was in the recovery room?
Yes, at 1:25 p.m., the suspect checked on the victim and claimed that her pulse and blood pressure were both satisfactory.
Now, did his testimony agree with the testimony of the medical assistants and the medical records?
It did not. Medical records show that the victim had extremely low blood pressure, which is a sign of severe blood loss.
And how long was the victim in the recovery room?
For more than 3 hours, which is much longer than the recovery time for most patients with this type of procedure. Claudia Brown, one of the medical assistants, said that the victim was frightened and stated that her legs were going numb. When Ms. Brown lifted the sheet covering the victim, she saw that the victim's legs and the bed were completely soaked with blood.
Now, did Dr. Parker check on the victim again?
Medical records show that he checked on her at 3:15 p.m. and ordered a drug to rouse her, which the medical assistants say didn't work. At around 4 p.m., he finished his last abortion and left for the day. He claimed that he left the victim in stable condition, alert, and talking.
At what point was the 911 call made?
Ms. Brown finally called 911 at 4:24 p.m. The paramedics arrived 2 minutes later. The victim was taken to the hospital where she was declared deceased.
And how far away was the nearest hospital?
It was across the street.
I have no further factual questions for this witness. At this time, do any members of the jury have any factual questions for this witness? Yes.
How long, again, did you say that it was before they called 911?
For more than 3 hours.
Okay.
Are there any further factual questions for this witness? I take it by your silence that the answer is no. Thank you, officer. The court admonishes you that Arizona law prohibits you from discussing your testimony with anyone other than the prosecution. Please step outside and remain in the vicinity in case of any further questions. Thank you. We will now be hearing from a second witness, Dr. Heather Torres of the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office. Come in, doctor. You're going to sit in that seat right there after this lady swears you in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Dr. Torres, can you please introduce yourself to the members of the grand jury?
My name is Dr. Heather Torres. I'm a medical examiner with the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office.
And Dr. Torres, were you involved in a case involving a victim by the name of Nicole Wilson?
Yes, I was the medical examiner assigned to her case.
Was an ultrasound scan submitted to you showing how far along the victim was in her pregnancy?
Yes.
Now, we have an exhibit for this. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, on the screen behind you, you will see a copy of the ultrasound scan. Now, Dr. Torres, what does this ultrasound scan show us?
Well, it appears to show a scan of a fetus approximately 15 weeks old. But as you can see, the quality of the scan is very poor. So it's difficult to determine precisely what the gestational age of the fetus is.
Now, the medical assistant who took the ultrasound claimed that she took previous scans which showed the gestational age of the fetus at 17 weeks. Does it make any difference if the age of the fetus is 17 weeks as opposed to 15 weeks?
Yes, according to Arizona law, it is illegal to perform an abortion after 15 weeks, except in the case of a medical emergency.
And is it correct that you performed an autopsy on the victim in order to determine the cause of death?
Yes, I determined that the cause of death was a 2-inch by 3/4 inch tear in the victim's uterus, which was caused by one of the medical instruments used in the abortion procedure.
Now, what kind of instruments are used in this type of abortion procedure?
Well, the victim had an abortion procedure called a D&E, a dilation and evacuation. And in that type of procedure, there are 3 instruments used. The first is called a suction catheter, which is used to suction the amniotic fluid out of the uterus. For the other 2, I brought exhibits to show the jurors.
Proceed.
Well, this one is called a Sofer clamp. It is 13 inches. It's a type of forceps. It's 13 inches long, made of stainless steel, and it has teeth here at the end for grasping.
It's used to insert in the uterus and pull parts of the fetus out. And this one is called a curette. It's a type of scraping tool, and it is used to reach in and scrape out any remaining tissue from the uterus. I believe that the tear in the victim's uterus was probably caused by either the sofa clamp or the curette.
Now, is it true that a remaining fetal body part can sometimes cause a tear in the uterus, such as the victim experienced?
Well, yes, but the medical records show that all parts of the fetus were accounted for. So after the procedure, so if that's true, the tear in the uterus would have been caused by one of these instruments.
And did you have the opportunity to interview the emergency room physician, Dr. Martin Bradley, who examined the victim after she was first transferred to the hospital?
Yes, Dr. Bradley believed that signs that the victim's life were in danger were evident as early as 1:25 p.m., which was less than 45 minutes after the procedure had ended. Had he been treating her, he would have given her IV fluid and blood immediately, and he would have called the ambulance to transfer her to the hospital because he was confident that if she had been given surgery promptly when she arrived at the hospital, it would have saved her life.
I have no further questions for this witness at this time. Do any members of the grand jury have any factual questions for this witness?
So you're saying that one of the tools that was used to take the life of the baby also took the life of the mother?
Yes, I believe that the tear in the victim's uterus was caused by one of the instruments.
Thank you.
Are there any further factual questions from the members of the jury? I take it by your silence that the answer is no. Thank you, doctor. The court admonishes you that Arizona law prohibits you from discussing your testimony with anyone other than the prosecution. Please step outside and remain in the vicinity in case of any further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. At this time, do any members of the grand jury have any legal questions? I take it by your silence that the answer is no. The county attorney has prepared a draft indictment for your consideration. Please deliberate and determine which of your legal options you wish to pursue.
Okay, we have two counts. The first count is manslaughter, and that applies to Alfred Parker. The second is negligent homicide, and that applies to Rhonda Murphy.
So Rhonda Murphy is being charged with negligent homicide just because she didn't call 911 soon enough?
Correct. And because she scheduled an abortion during a time that there would not be a registered nurse in monitoring the recovery room.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and the count of manslaughter for Alfred Parker, is that because he recklessly caused the death of Nicole Wilson?
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
Why would you wait to call 911 and just let her bleed out? Why?
Some abortion clinics are reluctant to call 911, and they don't like the ambulance to use sirens.
Why not?
They don't want people to know just how dangerous abortions actually are.
That is ridiculous.
Okay, hold on. I don't think you can say that abortions are dangerous on the basis of one criminal case, okay? Thousands of abortions are performed every year without any fatalities.
Well, Jake, that may be the case for most of the mothers, but what about the children? There's rarely a case without a fatality.
Guys, we are not here to discuss our views on abortion.
Thank you.
So let's just stick to the facts at hand and decide whether or not we think there is enough evidence for an indictment for these two suspects. All in favor?
Whoa. I'm sorry, but did I miss something here? The case only mentions there was one victim, but there were two people that died that day. Did anybody else notice the kid?
Tony is right. We just heard about two people who were murdered, but only one of them was mentioned as a victim. Why wasn't the baby mentioned in the
I'll tell you, it's simple, because at this stage of development, it isn't a baby, it's a fetus. And it doesn't have the same rights and protections as a fully developed human.
Not according to the statute. May I?
Yeah, sure.
ARS 131103. An offense under subsection A, paragraph 5 of this section applies to an unborn child in the womb at any stage of its development. Thank you.
Okay, but if you keep reading, okay, it says that a person will not be prosecuted if any of the following applies. 1, a person was performing an abortion with the consent of the pregnant woman. Okay. 2, a person was performing medical treatment on the pregnant woman or her unborn child. Or 3, the person was the unborn child's mother. Therefore, according to the law, it's not a crime.
There you go.
It doesn't say that it's not a crime. It just says the person won't be prosecuted.
So what are you saying? That abortion is a crime?
Look, I'm saying that either an unborn child is a person worth protecting or they're not. You guys remember the case on the news a couple years back? The one where the man set fire to his apartment and he burnt his wife and unborn child to death?
Yes.
Yeah, it was horrible. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree homicide, 1 for the mother and 1 for the child. Today we hear a case about a woman who's left to bleed to death on a table after having her unborn child literally torn apart in her womb, limb from limb. Talk about a cruel and inhumane way to kill someone. Now, what's the difference between the 2 kids? One is burnt alive, and the other one is dismembered and has its skull crushed. That's what I'd like to know.
Antonio, I will tell you the difference. The mother in the first case chose to have her baby,
Okay.
and the mother in the second case chose to abort hers.
Okay, so let me get this straight, Vanessa. You're saying that the sole basis for determining whether or not a human being lives or dies is whether he or she is wanted or not?
A woman has a right to choose.
My body, my choice.
Exactly.
A right to choose to kill her own kid? I'm sorry, but the word mother always conjured up different images in my mind. A mother rocking her kid to sleep, kissing its sore knee. I always thought of a mother as the one person in the whole world who would fight to death to save her own kid, not be the one to pull the trigger.
You're making it sound like women who have abortions are murderers.
Right.
You know what? I don't think that we should use the words kill or murder. I think that both lives are important, right? Both the life of the mother and the life of the child.
And I agree with you, Kim, that both the life of the mother and the child are important. But that doesn't change the fact that an abortion is an intentional killing of an innocent human being. And that is the textbook legal definition for murder.
What makes you think you have the right to tell any woman what she can or cannot do with her own body?
Shocker! Another white male telling us what we can do with our bodies.
Exactly.
An unborn child is not simply a part of its mother's body. I'm a doctor. I've been working in medicine for years. It is true that an unborn child is surrounded by and develops within its mother's body, but is most certainly a distinct human being with a unique genetic code and at times a different blood type and gender from its mother. So when a mother chooses to have an abortion, she's not just making a decision for one body. She's making a decision for 2, hers and her unborn child's.
And that is her reproductive right.
Can I ask you, what do you mean by reproductive right?
Look, it's simple. It just means I can decide when and with whom I want to have sex. And I can choose when or if I want to get pregnant, okay? And no one, least of all some male politician or religious zealot, can legislate what I do with my own body.
But what if your right infringes with another person's right? What if your choice to be pregnant or not be pregnant means the life or the death of another person?
Look, Teresa, we're not talking about a person. We're talking about a fetus. And if that fetus is in my body and I don't want it there, I have a right to decide what happens to it. Yeah. People should be able to become parents when it's best for their lives and their families. And no one should be forcing motherhood or fatherhood on somebody else.
Vanessa, you don't really believe that if the government would ban abortions, that they would be forcing motherhood and fatherhood on people?
Yes, by forcing unwanted pregnancies, which, by the way, is also a form of economic suppression of the underprivileged classes.
How was that?
Look, denying a woman from a poor or minority background access to abortion forces her to get a second job, or perhaps forces her to get a third job, just so she can support herself and her child.
It's a lot of forcing going on.
I'm sorry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you believe that the government forces people to have sex with each other?
That is irrelevant. Just because a person consents to have sex does not mean they consent to get pregnant.
But don't you think that most people who have sex are aware that it could result in a pregnancy?
It can happen.
Well, then it seems to me that they've already made their choice. They just don't want to accept the responsibilities.
Okay, so you're saying unless you want to get pregnant, don't have sex?
Yeah.
What kind of world do you live in?
The same world that you live in. Abstinence may not be popular, but it is possible.
But instead, we teach our kids that it's safe and it's okay to have sex whenever, with whomever they please. And then if they just happen to get pregnant, we tell them that there's always abortion as a way out.
Well, look, that doesn't
But what about cases of incest or rape? I'm not saying I'm in favor of abortion, especially late-term abortion, but don't you think that in certain situations, it might be the most compassionate thing to do?
Exactly, Kim. Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Finally, yes.
Would you punish the innocent victim of a violent crime by forcing her to carry her rapist's child?
Would you punish an innocent child for the crimes of her father?
It's a fetus,
come on, we're
Teresa.
talking about...
Listen, Jake. I know a woman, she's very close to me. When she was 16, she was raped. She was set up on a blind date. He took her out in the woods and he raped her there.
Can you imagine forcing a 16-year-old to carry the child of her rapist?
Wait.
What did she do?
Well, she ended up keeping the child, and as a matter of fact, I'm glad she did because that child ended up being me. Look, I knew my parents loved me, and she never saw the guy again. She married my stepfather. He raised me as his own. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know he wasn't my biological father until I was well into my 30s. And if she had aborted me, not only would she have gotten rid of me, but she would have gotten rid of the 4 grandchildren that both me and my wife have given her.
Okay, that's great, Justin. I'm happy for you, truly. Okay, but that's what your mother chose. Okay, just because it was right for her, it doesn't mean that it's right for someone else.
But it's not just for
Exactly.
her.
People should have a right to choose what's right for them and their circumstances.
But there's someone else
That
involved.
sounds really good until one person's right to choose infringes on another. Then whose right takes precedence?
Look, the rights of a fully grown woman should always take precedence over that of a fetus. Why?
Because a fetus is not a person, Teresa.
Yes.
Why is there any question that a fetus is a person? Are you a person, Jake?
Of course, I'm a person.
And would you deny that anyone sitting here in this room is a person?
No.
But you began your life as a fetus, and so did everybody here.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us here would we deny that we wouldn't be here having this conversation on this subject if someone had just decided to end our life as a fetus.
Yeah.
Jake, to kill a fetus is to kill a man or a woman. And to say that a fetus is not a person is to deny our own humanity.
All right. Then if you believe abortion is murder, who would be guilty of the murder? The abortionist who actually performs the abortion or the mother who has the abortion?
Jacob, I got a question for you. Supposing that I'm in the mafia. And a guy gets in my way. So I hire a hitman to take him out. So in that case, who would be guilty of that man's murder? Me or the hitman?
Both of you. But what does that have to do with anything?
Well, according to ARS 13, what is this? 751, it says both the person who pays for the murder and the person who paid to commit the murder are accountable under the law.
But you know that some women and girls are forced to have abortions against their will. What are you going to do in a situation like that?
And that would be a different case, Kim. I mean, take, for example, a minor who is sexually abused, and her molester forces her to have an abortion against her will to cover up his crime. Now, who would be guilty of that unborn child's murder? The molester or the mother?
The molester, obviously.
Exactly. And I don't know who's guilty in each individual case, and there could be hundreds of different scenarios. But there is one constant. In each and every case, an innocent child is killed. And that unique person deserves to have equal protection under the law.
Well, then can we add a count to the indictment for the baby?
Yes, why not?
Technically, we're allowed to.
Well, would that be manslaughter like the first count?
Manslaughter is recklessly causing someone's death. In this case, it was intentional and premeditated. That baby's death was no accident.
So does that make it first-degree murder? What statute is that?
So ARS 131105, a person commits first-degree murder if, intending or knowing that the person's conduct will cause death, the person causes the death of another person, including an unborn child, with premeditation.
You know what? Look, it doesn't even matter what your personal opinions are, okay? According to the law, abortion is a woman's legal right.
Arizona law does not give anyone the right to have an abortion. In fact, Arizona has a law from 1864 banning abortion except to save the life of the mother. It just hasn't been enforceable because of Roe v. Wade.
Okay, so you're saying some archaic law from Civil War time, from before women could even vote, is supposed to govern women now?
Well, if the law is archaic just because it was passed in 1864, then there are plenty of other laws we need to throw out as well. The Bill of Rights, for example, was ratified in 1791. And the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery was ratified in 1865.
No, I'm sorry, okay? Women have fought too long and too hard for our rights, and we're not going back. I want my granddaughters to have a right to choose, and no one's gonna take that away from them.
Vanessa, you talk so much about women's rights and the right to choose, but what about the rights of thousands of women who have been lost to abortion for years? What about them? Do their rights not matter? Or is it just our rights right now that matter? Look, I want my granddaughters to have rights and freedom too, but they will not have the right to be free, the right to choose, or the right to anything if they are aborted.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Look, Vanessa, there's a reason why the right to life comes first, because without it, all the other rights will be meaningless. And how can we call ourselves a just society if we deny the right to life to the most innocent and vulnerable among us?
But that does not change the fact that right now, today, Arizona law states that a woman can have an abortion without being prosecuted.
Thank you.
And neither will the person performing it.
Go.
She is right. We could add another count, but they just throw it out in court. According to the statute, it isn't against the law to have an abortion.
So there's nothing we can do?
Well, not right now. Not unless the law's changed.
So should we just vote on the original 2 counts?
Thank you, yes.
There's an idea.
All right then. The first is manslaughter. That applies to Alfred Parker. The second is negligent homicide, and that applies to Rhonda Murphy. All in favor of an indictment? Unanimous.
Jury room number 2. Jury room number 2.
Would the clerk please read the findings of the jury?
The grand jury, with 10 members present and only members of the grand jury present, deliberated upon evidence, and with 10 jurors voting, by a vote of 10-0, returned to true bill.
That concludes this investigation. It's only a little after 2. I just need 9 of you to remain until the judge comes back at 3 o'clock, so one of you can go home early.
Anybody like to leave?
Oh, right
early?
here.
The rest of us will stay.
All right, as I said, it's only a little after 2, so feel free to take a break.
Tony, you coming?
I'm gonna decompress, all right? I need to text my wife. I'll be out in a minute. Hey, are you looking for something?
Yes, I'm looking for my phone.
Okay, where did you last see it?
Well, I could have sworn I had it in my hand when I got up from the desk, but it's not in my purse, it's not in the bathroom, it's not in my pocket. I just don't know where it could be.
Okay, where did you go next?
I think I went to go put my binder away.
Could it be over there on the counter?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay, I'll go look.
Is it?
Is this it?
Yes. Where was it?
It was just shoved back behind the binders over there.
Thank you.
Hey, are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Are you sure?
Yes, I just need to go home. Oh.
Hey, do you need to sit down for a moment?
Maybe just for a minute.
Would you like me to call someone?
No, no. This is normal. Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Do you think that women who choose to have an abortion deserve the death penalty?
Whoa, I was not expecting that question.
Well, it seems like back in the deliberations that that's what you were arguing for.
Look, Emily, I do have an answer for you, and that is a loaded question. But let me ask you a question first. Do you believe that a woman who chooses to have an abortion deserves the death penalty?
Well, here's the thing. I just had an abortion. On Sunday. I thought it was the right thing to do. I mean, I'm still in college and I have my whole life ahead of me and I was afraid. I was afraid of what my boyfriend might say or do. The last time I thought I was pregnant, he told me that if I didn't get an abortion, that we would be through. So I did it. And I thought everything would be okay, but sitting here today and seeing the ultrasound and hearing what was done to that baby. It's the same procedure that I had done.
You know, Emily, before we were married, my wife, she had an abortion.
She did?
She did. It was years before we had ever met, and it took her a long time before she told me. She knew what my views were on abortion, and I guess she thought that if she told me that I would stop loving her.
And did you stop loving her?
Of course not. She's my wife. But it broke my heart that she carried that grief all alone for all of those years. She didn't think that God could forgive her. And she couldn't forgive herself. fact, it got so bad that at one point she contemplated taking her own life.
But she didn't.
Oh, no, thank God.
Then what did she do?
Well, she heard about a Bible study at our church, led by a woman who'd had an abortion. And that's where she heard for the very first time that Jesus offers forgiveness for all of our sins, including abortion. And that's when she began to heal. But it took time.
So then you believe that God can forgive someone who's had an abortion?
Oh, Emily, absolutely. God says that if we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Goes on to say that the wages or payment for sin is death. That's separation from God. But the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. You see, Emily, we all deserve the death penalty. We've all broken God's law in one way or another. But God's Son, Jesus, came on death row to die a criminal's death in our place so that whoever believes in Him can have everlasting life. Oh, I would love to share more about this with you. Why don't you have dinner with my wife and me sometime? My wife is the most beautiful person I know, inside and out. She's not crazy and outspoken like me.
I'd like that.
I'll get a number. Oh, and I'll let her know you're calling. And do you like Italian?
I do.
Oh, that is good. I used to have a restaurant in Philly, and I have a blind mother who lives at home with us who loves to bake. If you don't leave fatter than when you come, we feel like we failed.
What was your wife's name?
Her name is Laura.
Laura. Thank you.
Welcome. Oh, Emily, I'm gonna tell you something that I would tell my own daughter. Get rid of that guy you're seeing. He is not the one for you.
But I love him.
I know you do, but he does not love you. If he did, he wouldn't be sleeping around with you. And he most certainly would not be making aborting your child a condition of his love. You'll need to wait for a man who loves you like sacrificially, like God did for us when He sent His Son Jesus. And that He's gonna back up that claim to love with a commitment to marriage.
What if a guy like that never comes around?
He might not, but there are worse things in this life than being single. And besides, God knows how to take care of His single gals.
Why didn't my dad have conversations like this with me?
Maybe nobody ever told him.
Thank you.
Welcome. Oh, Emily Motor. You take care of yourself, kiddo.
I will. Sir, I wanted to let you know that Mr. Richards called to cancel his appointment for today. I'll try to get him in next week.
All right. Has there been any news from Kelpaz?
Sir, it's been almost a week since he was scheduled to be aboard. I'm afraid that he might be...
I was hoping that it was all a mistake, that he wasn't really scheduled to be.
I went down to the family planning abortion clinic on Sunday. I was there from the time they opened until the time they closed. I tried calling out to all the women who were going in, but they made it really hard. They had planted these tall hedges and painted a yellow line on the sidewalk to keep people from trespassing. I tried calling out to every single woman who went in. Not one of them would turn to look at me. If one of them was Kelpaz's mother...
There's one way that we could know for sure.
I don't think think I could bear it, sir.
Isn't it better than not knowing for the rest of our lives? Here. What was his number again?
Number 2021-7543.
Number 7543. Abortion performed on July 25th, 2021. Deceased.
I thought we could save him. Sir, when I was down at the family planning abortion clinic, there was a group praying for the mothers and their babies. They gave me this. It's a model of a 12-week-old baby. I thought you might like it to remember Kelpaz by. If you need me, sir, I'll be in the other room.
So tiny, so small. You couldn't even defend yourself. Already people were out to kill you. I'm sorry, Kelpaz. I failed you. I never told you this. I never told anyone this. I was going to be a father once. My wife came home and told me that she was pregnant. I told her that we would have plenty of time to have children after our cars were paid off, after we were settled in our careers. She did what I asked, but it was never the same for us after that. She left me a couple of years later. I don't know much about that baby. If it would have been a girl or a boy like you.
Sir, I think I'm going to go home for the day, but I wanted to give you this.
Another book? No more ghosts, I hope.
You'll have to read it to find out.
The Bible?
It's my favorite book in the whole world.
Better than A Christmas Carol?
Better than A Christmas Carol.
Miss M, do you think that God could ever forgive a person like me?
The Bible says that if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. But if we confess our sin, God is faithful and just to forgive our sin and cleanse us from all unrighteousness.
Does it really say that?
You can read it for yourself. 1 John 1:8 and 9.
Thank you, Miss M.
You're welcome, sir.
Behold, God created the heavens and the earth.
Sir, I'm sorry. There's someone here to see you. It's a little girl.
A little girl?
It's me.
It's you.
Come on, have a seat.
What can I do for you, sweetheart?
I heard you gave Kelpaz a name. Can you give me a name too?
Of course I'll give you a name. Precious girl.
Will you give me a name? Will you give me a name? Will you give me a name? Can you give me a name? Will you give me a name?